Welcome. Don't adjust your dial. Welcome everyone to the Lofi Poli Sci podcast. I'm your host Michael Pickering. That's right. Lo-fi's and low fidelity, low quality, in your face, messy as can be global news show. Here we're going to talk about that famous question, what's going on in the world today? And it's time for that lo-fi global news, fresh off that press. Source, the BBC, Asia section. Teacher disqualified for promoting Hong Kong independence. An unnamed teacher, unnamed because the Hong Kong/Beijing puppet government won't release the name because it would certainly stir shit up. But I digress. The teacher had their teaching license revoked for teaching material that was considered pro-Hong Kong independence. This is scary, people. Say what you will about having to learn stuff that you don't like, but the more you learn, the more you know, the more you can analyze and critically think. The less you learn, the more narrow your view, and your ability to analyze with comparative perspective diminishes. Or rather, never gets nurtured. We'll keep an eye out for updates for sure. Next up, source, Reuters World News. Kyrgyz opposition groups make rival power grabs after toppling government. So much has happened since we talked about Kyrgyzstan's elections on Monday. So the quick recap. Sunday was nationwide elections for government. 2 parties won, 16 parties left out completely. Now the next few things happened from Sunday to Wednesday. Mass people power movement protests took place in the capital and elsewhere in the country. Parliament was stormed by protesters and taken over. The previous president that was under arrest was broken out of jail by protesters. The prime minister resigned. The president announces that Sunday's election results are null and void. The president indicates he will resign. Constitutional reform is proposed. New elections are announced to take place in 2 to 3 months. Opposition parties are fighting for power and planning to meet the president for talks of transition. Whew. All that in just a few days. You want to talk about the power of the people? Kyrgyzstan's showing the world right now what people's power movements can do. Don't take your eye off this one in Lo-Fi Nation. Lots going down real quick like in Kyrgyzstan. Now, moving forward because we never move on from anything. Source, BBC, Latin America section. Venezuela gold. Maduro government wins UK appeals court. Now, this is a story that's developing fast as well. This summer, Maduro couldn't get his gold back. Monday, they sent the court ruling to the appeals court. Today, they say shenanigans. Send this back to the High Court. So now, it appears, we think, that the UK High Court will have to decide once and for all who is president of Venezuela, and that person will have access to all the Venezuelan gold in the Bank of London. Who knows how this will turn out? I mean, really, just look at Brexit if you think you know UK politics. And our following story comes from the AP News International. Proposed Sri Lankan charter, change raises rights concerns. This is less than cool, Lo-Fi listener. So a brief background. The Rajapaksa family is a political family like no other. I mean, really, if you're thinking some name of some famous political family, throw it out the window. It does not compare. President Rajapaksa is changing constitutional law to put power in his and his family's hands, more so than it already is. So he's the president. His brother is the former president. His brother is the prime minister. And his other brother and 3 nephews hold minister and lawmaker positions as well. You see? No comparison. Plus, I'm not even going into the rest of his extended family and how they are all involved in politics at all regional levels of government. What's more, these 2 brothers, the president and the prime minister/former president, have some legitimate human rights claims on them from the Sri Lankan Civil War. But that's another story. This new law would allow the president to dissolve parliament, appoint ministers, appoint judges, appoint commission heads for the election commissions, appoint the heads of the human rights commissions. Oh, did I mention he had human rights claims against him from the Sri Lankan Civil War? He would be able to appoint police chiefs and the head of the bribery commission. And that's just some of the changes that would be made if he was getting this passed. And it looks like he probably will. We'll let you know as this story develops for sure, Lo-Fi listeners. And a last piece of news to send you on your way for the day. Source, the BBC, Science and Environment section. T-Rex dinosaur Stan sold for world record price. Do you like dinosaurs? Have you ever wanted to own your own complete dinosaur fossil skeleton? Well, if you had $31.8 million, you missed out on Stan the T-Rex. That's right, Stan broke records and was sold to a private collector for $27.5 million. But you know the auction houses got to get their piece of the pie, and their piece happened to be $4.3 million this time. And as of right now, the name of the buyer has not been given, though may go public in a few days. Let me tell you something, Lo-Fi Nation. If I'd have bought a T-Rex, I'd be telling everyone. I'd walk up to my friends and say, hey, want to come chill with me and my T-Rex? I'd walk up to a random person on the street and say, hey, ever saw a real T-Rex? Come on, let's go. I'd host T-Rex parties once a month at my place. Anonymous buyer of a T-Rex, please. We all know that ain't gonna stay anonymous for long. Open your doors and let the world experience the amazing nature of our planet's history, the dinosaurs. And that's a brief snapshot of what's going on in the world today. Stay tuned for tomorrow's episode of Lo-Fi Global News. Always remember that Lofi Poli Sci is more than just me. It's the we that we be. Write in with questions or comments to lofipolisci@planetmail.com. Thanks for listening. Stay safe. Wash those hands. And I'll see you in the next episode of the Lofi Poli Sci podcast. Pickering, signing off.